All right, so sometimes we need to work with more than one value or more than one variables. And instead of creating like multiple variables, what we do is we can put them together in a simple data structure, which is known as lists in Python. So let's see how we create lists in Python. Again, like I'm creating a variable L equals, and then notice these square brackets. So we create a list using square brackets starting and ending, and then you can have elements within the list separated by commas. For example, 5, 6, 7, 0, maybe negative numbers, and so on. Let's look at like what this creates, and then we'll talk more about the structure. Print L. Let's run this. Okay, so this is what we get. Obviously, these are like a sequence of elements separated by commas. And similar to strings, every element has a value and a position. All right, so what does that mean? That means the position of 4 is 0, the position of 6 is 1, and so on. And we will see more of the methods that are applicable to lists that are similar to the ones that we used in strings. But coming back to lists, what all like object types are allowed in Python? So you can have any object type. For example, let me create another list, L1 equals and apple, orange, and so these are string types. If you look at them, these elements are not numeric, but they are string types because they are within quotes. So I can like have names of fruits and maybe one more, right? Berries, and let me just like print L1. So print L1. Let's run this. So now we have like two lists. The first one has like all values numeric. The second one has all values non-numeric. So that means it has like all values string types. And there is like another, so there's no restriction to the type of values that you can have in a list. For example, I can have something like this, L2 equals, again creating another list where you have the first element as hello, the second element has a number, the third, like this is a whole number, the third element has like a float, and maybe a boolean, and again a string with some numbers, right? And if I go and print this, let's run this, right? So this is also allowed, that every element can have any object type in Python. Any Python object type is allowed, so much so that you can have a list as an element, and these are known as nested lists. So let me just like show you what it means, which means that you can have a list within a list. That means if L3 is a list, right, and its first element is a list itself, so 6, 7, 6, and then the second element is some string, the third element is 0, which is a number, and then let's say this, and let me just print it, print L3. This is also allowed. So you can have any Python object type as an element of a list. Another important thing is the repeated elements. So you can have elements repeated in a list. For instance, look here, the first list L has elements 4, 6, 7. Let's say I have this 7 again and this 4 again. And because every element has a position and a value, so this 7, the first 7 is different from this 7. Because the first 7 is at position 2, and this is at a different position, its index is different. Similarly, this one, this 4 is at position 0, and this is at position length of L minus 1. And so this 4 is different from this 4. So every element has a value and every element has a position in a list. And we're going to look at how we can access those values using indexing and also slicing in the next video. Okay, thank you.